Hello everyone, welcome to Sunny Day Discussions. I am Sunny Day. Today I want to go over the McCarthy's ransom note for the debt ceiling. He wants to decrease spending, which I get, but he also wants to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. And they claim that that would increase the economy, benefit everybody. And that theory is based on the trickle-down economics that came to the forefront when Reagan was in office. But it is a proven faulty theory. The theory is that if you give more tax cuts and benefits and money to the rich, then that wealth would then trickle down into the average person's pockets, thus creating a thriving economy. And that could work if you had wealthy people who were generous, not greedy. In a perfect world, it could work. But it's been proven to not work in this one because of the fact that with the money that the wealthy people are receiving from these tax cuts, they are, instead of reinvesting back into their business in the form of higher wages, updated equipment, whatever, they are actually doing stock buybacks, which increases the amount of money they receive for stocks, which basically lines their own pockets and leave their workers down in, the dumps to basically just barely survive on a minimum wage, and if they're lucky, slightly above minimum wage, but definitely not a living wage. But we will get into that a little bit more in a later episode. But today I wanted to talk about, like I said, the McCarthy ransom note. He wants to target the funding that Biden budgeted for the IRS. And that IRS funding was going to go towards staff, the people who answer the phones, that answer questions, the people that do the audits. They're not going to come to your doors armed with weapons and demand they see your taxes. I don't know what Republicans think that is going to be. But they're basically just going to be able to have better customer service and more manpower to audit the rich, because of the fact that the rich have far more complicated taxes than the average person. It takes a bigger team to do an efficient and effective audit. The proposal would force unpopular, harmful policies that would make deep cuts in a bunch of popular priorities. Basically, that means that it would cut funding for public education. It would stop funding environmental protections. It would cut public health, college aid, essentially making it harder for people to actually just survive and afford the basics. While cutting the SNAP benefits, it's terrible, but that has a resounding effect. It goes further down. If you cut the food benefits for people that actually need it, they then have to take the money that they already are investing towards rent and electricity and maybe gas to get to work if there's no public transportation, and now having to direct it towards food. And so they have to choose, do I want to keep the lights on or do I want to feed my family? And that causes food insecurity. And by choosing the food, it could cost in other ways, such as not being able to pay rent, which could lead to homelessness, which could lead to far worse health outcomes. And in order to have a job, maintain a job, get a job, it's really hard if you have no home, if your health is poor. So basically just keeping the poor poor or making them even more poor. He wants to implement a work requirement. And I'm not sure at which level it is, if it's just for unemployment or not unemployment, but like food benefits, housing benefits, stuff like that. But SNAP, which used to be known as food stamps, already has a work requirement. And basically it is you have to work 20 hours a week in order to receive SNAP benefits. But if you don't meet that work requirement and you don't get an exception, you only get 3 months of SNAP benefits in a 36-month period. That's not much. Losing SNAP benefits would lead to food insecurity and hunger, like I said. So basically what he's doing is he's wanting to take funding from all of these social programs that help people survive, because the government just does not want to pay us a living wage. It would take all of those, the funding for those, and cut that. There are Republicans that say that they won't cut the defense spending, which is already exorbitant, but they won't cut it, which means that in order to meet McCarthy's budget proposal thing, they would have to cut even further into other programs. So screwing over the American public, basically. And it's just, that seems to be what Congress does. They don't want to pay us enough to live, but they want to pay the rich even more than they already have. So it's kind of a system that keeps the poor poor, the rich rich, the haves the have-nots. It's kind of a messed up system, if you ask me. It would be a really simple thing to fix a lot of our problems with just a living wage and affordable housing. That's it. That's not much. And just in the tax cuts for the wealthy alone, we could afford healthcare for all. But politicians don't want to do that because they're in the pockets of these major corporations. And we'll get into that on a whole nother level in another video. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks. We'll see you next time.